The third factor is giving. The word, the Pali word for this is dana. Sanskrit, the same word, dana. Dana simply means giving. Unlike other philosophies and religions, in Buddhism, dana is important or giving is important, but this is only a basis which is in the sidelines so that it helps you in attaining enlightenment. This is not an important thing you have to do to become enlightened, but when it comes to preparing your mind, this is something we have to keep in mind. You have to prepare your mind first. Your mind has to open up. To make that mind opening up, this giving is stressed out in Buddhism. In many religions, giving has its own place. Here, it is a little bit different. So that is what we are going to understand today, how giving is leading us to one of the most important truths as described by Buddha. And then we go further to see what exactly giving means when it comes to enlightenment. So that is the ultimate definition of giving. So let's begin with the first part, which is to know how giving helps us in this path. Just last year, I went to one of the community centers here in the Bay Area in downtown San Jose. I was with a group of people. These people have normal life, but they have slight mental issues. This means they can carry themselves on their own. They don't need any support. They go to work, they have a family, they do all that, but their mental development is slightly have some issues. So I was there for 4 weeks conducting some classes. All these people are new to me, and one of the things I learned by going there and doing my classes is these people are highly emotional. I didn't know about this. All of us have strong emotions, but we show those emotions only on occasions. But the people I met was different. Their emotions are highly charged up, so they're very strong emotions. Without knowing this, I was talking about a few things and then came to know how they would respond. And then I changed my way of telling stories a little bit differently. And the last class, I was about to give it was a mindfulness exercise and a lot of other things. And at the end of it, one of the students, she should be in her 30s, she gave me a nice picture. A picture which she herself drawn that picture. And as soon as we look at this picture, this is a picture of a pine tree. It was closer to Christmas time, so she put up this Christmas tree. This is a Christmas tree with lots of lights on that, and she gave that to me. I was so moved by this gesture. A stranger, a total stranger. I never met her before. As compared with other people, I didn't talk to her, spend a lot of time with her. She was one of the students who was sitting there. And she gave me that. I was so moved, and I felt that love she had for whatever she heard from me. You can say that this is something I received, but I was the only person going there. But for me to go there, many other people helped me. Some of our students gave some donations so that we can buy some stuff for them and gave it to them, some food and things like that. And for me to go there and represent, there were so many other things that has to happen. All of them happened, and I was there. So when I received that, I felt that love, that giving, the simple act of giving by that person, it not only goes to me, of course, it gave me a lot of motivation to do more of these kind of things, more. And at the same time, it all goes to the people who supported me to help me go there. All of them received that love. This is a simple story to tell you that one act of kindness, it brings so many people, makes so many people happy, and that's how this giving works. How it works? As I said just now, this person sharing her love with me, it motivates me to reach more people, and then this is going to go on and on. To give another example, all of us are here in this class. You have taken your time to come to this class. In this 1 hour, your mind is getting focused. Your mind is not being disturbed by many other worries. Your mind is becoming more calm and tranquil. And then with that tranquility, you are going to be with your family, be with your friends, and you take the same mind to the work where you go. Your entire community and the family is going to benefit out of that. Even though you may think the small change that you notice in your mind may not be so visible to others, but they will feel the change that you brought into that environment. Even though your time spent here is 1 hour, it goes a long way to help others. When you have this impact within your family and in the community, it all adds up. So that is why when we live in a community where there is more calmness and more tranquility, people like us who are contributing to that. So therefore, it has all this impact. This giving can go a long way. Let's come to understand what this giving is going to help us from a Buddhist standpoint. The reason I am highlighting this as Buddhist is we all know how giving works in a normal sense. So here we are going to go a little bit deeper. Giving means I give something with no expectation. So let's see a few examples. Let's see that when I do a good act, when I go and give $1 to a person on the street, to give an example, and then the person receives it, and if I think I'm going to get a good merit, a good deed, I have done a good deed, I'm getting a good merit. We call it as punya. I did something, therefore I received something. Is this similar to any transaction in life? For example, you go to a store, you pay $1, you get a fruit, whatever you buy. You pay this money to the store. In return for that money, they are going to give you an apple or whatever for that $1. So now you have given something and you got something in return. This we call this as a transaction. Is it similar to what I have just described? I give $1 to this guy on the street and I know that I will get some good deed, a good merit in return. Is both of them the same? It looks the same. When we do an act and when we expect a merit out of it, then it becomes a transaction. Then it becomes ordinary. And that is not what Buddhism teaches us. So this is a huge difference between other practices and what Buddhist practice is all about. I give, but with no expectation. When I expect some recognition out of this, I'm giving money so that it makes up for a nice photo ops and people are going to appreciate me. That is looking for a recognition, and that is not going to help you anywhere. But can I do this without any expectation? In Buddhist philosophy, this giving has a deeper meaning. The giving should lead us to giving up. Let's look at what this means. When I give, I should give with the understanding that whatever I give, the validity or the usability of what I give is not going to be there forever. Let's say I give a new sweater to the guy on the street, to give an example. Is it going to help him? Yes, it is going to help him for a while. Later on, it's not going to help him. Once the sweater's usage is done, he's going to throw that in the wherever in a trash can, and no use to it. I give with a clear understanding that whatever I give is going to change. If I give a food, if I buy food for someone for this meal, for this dinner, it's going to help him now. Tomorrow morning, he's going to be hungry. So this comprehension, we need to have a very clear comprehension of this. Whatever I give is not going to have a huge impact in somebody's life, but it's going to have a little bit. So therefore, giving away material things is not considered a highest good deed in Buddhism. Rather, you have to bring out that person from misery permanently. If you think about Buddha's teaching, he talks about this. We want people to come out of suffering. That suffering should be, the coming out of the suffering has to be permanent. The four truths, the four noble truths talks about this. Am I doing something that helps this person so that he can come out of that misery all by himself? He should understand the position of his living, the situation, the samsara he is in. Can I do something so that he can come out of samsara? How do we do that? By giving him understanding, by teaching him. Therefore, the Dhamma Dana, what we call as the Dana of education, is of highest importance in Buddhism. Education doesn't mean the ordinary materialistic education that helps you become a lawyer or a doctor. We are talking about education that brings him out of misery, the education or the knowledge of enlightenment. So that is going to help him. But it doesn't mean you have to drop all the dana. This is important so that you develop your mind. You have to cultivate your mind so that you can easily give up things. Today, we are not able to give out any things to others. We are so much attached to our things. If we think about the things we are attached to so much, we attach a lot of value to these material things. It may have sentimental values. It may have emotional value. For example, if I ask you to give me your phone, you are not going to part away with it very quickly, easily. It's very emotional, right? So you can think about all the things we don't want to give away. To give another example, here in this country, we all use the credit card a lot, right? The reason why we use a credit card is it doesn't give you the feeling of parting away your money that much. Even though you look at the numbers, it doesn't give you that kind of feeling. But as soon as you go and do the same transaction with cash, actual cash, for some of the people who are spendthrifts, they are advising this. Please go and use cash. Because as soon as you start giving out cash, the physical form of money, for whatever you buy, your heart is going to say, I am leaving this money. The money is leaving from me. I don't want to leave it. I don't want it to leave me. It's so much of attachment. You feel the pain. So therefore, they made some intelligent things today. They removed the cash. So all you use this card, right? This card doesn't have any kind of feeling towards it. Even though you can look at the number, you just swipe it and get along with whatever you do. So the parting with money is very, very hard for us. It's not only money. You look at your home, your car, and all the things you own, you possess, and all the emotions you possess. Those are the biggest attachments. Only when we are able to give away these things, we start with material things first, and then slowly we can give away the emotional attachments. Therefore, giving away material things is important so that you can cultivate your mind so that you can get to that state of giving up. The giving up comes with a clear comprehension of the nature of things. Whatever we hold today is not going to be with us forever. Even though we wish to be like this, to live like this forever, we all want to have a life like this forever. We want to have the same family. We want to have the same house. We want to have all the nice things. We want to retain all the relationships. We want to have this body which is healthy with whatever conditions you have. You want to retain this permanently. But when you look at the nature, the reality of our living is completely different. Each moment it keeps changing. So therefore, if we do not understand the reality and start giving away things, this is not going to help. So one of the qualities of giving away is we should have a very clear and serene mind while you give something to others. There are a few other things like what you give should be of worthy, and you should also know the worthiness of the person who is receiving it. When we talk about the good merits, if you are giving this thing or a material thing to somebody who is worthy of it, the returns you will get is more. This again for beginners who want to cultivate their mind. When we look at the life of Gotham Siddhartha, we all know the story. The Gotham Siddhartha, Gautama simply means, as we all know, when Buddha was born, his biological mother, she passed away after a few months, and then he was brought up by his stepmother. Her name is Gautami. So therefore he is called Gautama Siddhartha. When Siddhartha is a prince, he was born into a king's palace. As soon as he was born, the astrologers predicted that one day he would become world famous by two different means. He might be a big emperor or he might be a big monk. We talked about this story before. So he was brought up in luxury. The king thought, the father of Siddhartha thought, I don't want my son to be exposed to all the ugly things in life. Therefore, I want him to be in the palace, to be living a king's life and not becoming a monk. In many of the stories, some of the accounts says the king gave him 4 different palaces for each season. He would spend a summer in one palace and winter in another place, just like the royalty family of when I was in UK, I used to see these different kinds of palaces. They spent summer here, winter there. So likewise, he had 4 different palaces. And just imagine the life he had. He has all the luxuries in the palace. But in spite of that, when he went outside and get to know about the real life, he started to understand there is something beyond this what I live today. So he started to explore and he went out. Just imagine this. Can we leave our home or whatever condition we are? We are not kings, we are not princes, we don't live in palaces, we don't have all those riches he had, leaving alone our home, kingdom, the entire kingdom. Just imagine this for a second. And then he went out. The first thing he did, he went to the forest. He was accompanied by an assistant who took him there, and then he abandoned his horse in which he came in, and then he cut down his hair, the long beautiful hair of a prince. We all think of the physical things which we want to retain all the time. He removed it, and then he removed all his rich clothes. You can imagine the kind of clothes a prince would wear. He has to remove all that. He removed it on his own. And then he has to walk on bare feet. A day before, you were a prince living in luxury, and the next day you are just giving up your entire nice clothes, your appearance, and the way to walk. Everything is different now, and you no more have a house to live. In those days, when you are a monk, you have to live on the streets or in the forest. You have to sleep under a tree or in a cave. So he swapped his luxurious living to this giving up entirely. How he was able to give up? Later on, his enlightenment story would come. But even before that, he was in that state of mind to give up, because he already understood the nature of these things. The things are going to change. My body, which is so shiny and well built, young, this is going to go away, and I'm going to become old. The body is not going to be the same. Today I'm healthy, I may become unhealthy or sick later on. And then at some point, everything is going to end. Whether we like it or not, we have so much of attachment, but someday it is all going to end. That is why when the end comes to us, we feel so bad to leave our life, not because that you are leaving, because you are leaving all these attachments. What is going to happen to my family? How can I leave my spouse? How can I leave my children? How can I live this beautiful life with friends, the status? That becomes very hard for us to leave. That means death is going to be very, very, it's not going to be a pleasant experience for this reason. So he was able to give up all those things. I'm not saying you give up everything. When we talk about mindfulness, we are not saying leave away everything. That is the other extreme. Buddha doesn't advocate that. Remember, he went back to his kingdom to meet his wife and his son later on. It doesn't mean just to give up everything. That's one extreme. At the same time, when Buddha was preaching his philosophy, there was another person who is Mahavir. He comes from the Jain religion. He was also a contemporary. It seems they also met once or so. Mahavir, one of the chief monks of Jainism, he was practicing the extreme. You give up everything. You give up everything. You live that ascetic life to attain enlightenment. Buddha doesn't teach that. Once in a while, let's say I enjoy a cup of coffee, it is okay. But when you are attached to that, when you expect the same thing again and again, when your mind is addicted to something, then it becomes a problem. Today I may have the same kind of coffee, I'm happy with that. Tomorrow I may not have, I'm happy with that too. So we need to develop that state of mind. So giving up here means you have the understanding that one day all these things are going to go away. Can I prepare my mind to be in that state? That doesn't mean I leave my family to go and meditate in a cave or a forest. It doesn't mean that. Can I prepare my mind so that my mind is very clearly comprehending what the reality is? I clearly understand what this family is, what my body is, what my status is, everything. I know that this keeps changing, and now I have a very clear understanding. With that, I live. That's what we learn from mindfulness. So the giving up, this giving, when you start giving away small things, you can start with $1. You can start giving away some fruit, some flower, whatever it is. You start doing that. You feel that you are no more attached to these small materials. And as you keep doing it more and more, your mind is becoming more conducive for meditation. For meditation, it's not just meditating, sitting and meditating. All of these things are going to help. That's why some of the people struggle to meditate, because your mind hasn't opened up. And these things help. You start giving away, and then at some point you can easily give up. And then you are connected with the reality, which will help you to enlightenment. So now let me talk about the deeper meaning of giving. This might be a little bit hard for you to understand, but I wanted to share this with you because this is one of the highest truth given to us by Buddha. We need to understand this very clearly. So then, if we know the real meaning behind giving, you don't have to force yourself to part things with or force yourself to do certain things. So let's talk about this very quickly. We don't have much time. When my mind is fully developed, when I'm able to practice mindfulness, when all the impurities of my mind goes away. When I say impurities, we are talking about anger, greed, things like those. All those things are gone. My mind is calm and tranquil, and I am in that highest state of non-mind. So what do I mean by that? We talked about the concept of I, the ego. When you go to that state, when this ego self is dropped, I no more have this identity. I no more have this identity with all these complexities. We create our identity and make it so complex, and we are so much attached to it. That is our problem. We are not able to give away our identity, what we call as this ego. With this complexity, you cannot attain enlightenment. But if we can drop this identity, when all this complexity that comes with the mind goes away, what is left? Think about it for a second. What is left of us when your mind is gone, when your identity as I is gone? What is left? Your body is there, your mind is still aware of everything, but it doesn't have those complexities, no impurities. It is like a very clean mirror. With that state, when there is no I, when only your mind is there, you have the complete awareness of it. You are simply an entity of awareness. You are aware, fully aware. In that state, when you give, I should correct the statement. I cannot say when you give. There is no you. There is no you. There is no I. I am not there. What can I give? So in the highest definition of giving, there is no giving. There is no giving. That doesn't mean I'm not giving away. I am giving, but in my mind, I am not giving anything. It goes a step further. There is no non-giving. This is where we have to follow a little bit closely. When I say I don't give, that doesn't mean I'm not giving. I still give. But in my mind, I'm very clear that I am not giving this. And at the same time, there is no non-giving. That means the other person is receiving. Indeed, he is receiving. He or she is receiving. But it is also not a non-giving. If it is very hard to follow, just keep this in your mind. When my mind is clear, when there is no I, when there is no ego, whatever action I do, it doesn't have any attachment, no results. There is no giving, there is no non-giving. If I give, things are going to change. That is not a correct understanding. I give because I understood the nature of reality. I understood what I am. what this awareness is. Therefore, I simply give. That means there is no concept of expectation or anything like that. You just give without the ego that I am giving. So therefore, there is no expectation from this I, but there's simply an act of giving with complete awareness, with a clear comprehension that things change. I give. If I don't give, doesn't matter. Because I also know that if I stop doing something, right, it doesn't matter because I am not stopping it. My mind is not coming and say, hey, can I give this to this guy? Can I stop giving? You don't do all this analysis in your mind because there is no mind. Even if you don't give and walk away, Buddha comes in the street, he looks at someone and just walks away. It doesn't mean he is ignoring. He understood the highest truth. He may stop and help, may not stop and help. It doesn't matter. That's the highest understanding, what we call as the middle path. I don't go to the extremes. I take the middle path with a clear understanding that this is neither helping me or the other person. You should not interpret in the wrong way. It may or may not help, but from your perspective, when you are able to give with a clear comprehension that without this I, things are completely different. You do things, but you are not actually doing that thing. Zen teaches us about this. So with this, let me stop here. We've taken a little bit of time here. To summarize, when we think of giving, we all think, I give something, you get something in return. That is at the very basic level. We have to go a little bit deeper. You give away things so that you can cultivate your mind, because you are trying to understand this reality, the things which are constantly changing. At some point, I want to give up. So you go with that intention. So you start giving away. At the highest level, if you know that your mind is fully in that state of tranquility, it is fully in the state of no mind, and whatever you give, it is going to have a tremendous impact. But you are not giving with that intention. You don't have any intention at all because there is no mind. Without that mind, no intention, you do. You simply do with complete awareness. So that's what we learned in this class. I want to touch upon the other two things. We need to have this connection with the reality. We don't want to live in our own world, a wishful world. Be in the reality. You take control of your anger. There is no anger. Your mind is calm and settled. And then you give with this equanimous and harmonious mind. And then if you have all this, you can simply know that you are in that state of highest happiness, which is nothing but a deva lives in his heaven.